Wheelhouse Garage, and this is A Bike and a Beer, the show where I take a vintage motorcycle, pair it with a cool beer, and talk about the bike for however long it takes me to drink that beer. So I'm going to be doing a lot of these videos. I'm going to be releasing a video every Saturday. So if you like it, let me know in the comments, subscribe if you like, and let's do this. Okay, so the bike we're talking about today is a 1958 Ariel Huntmaster. Sweet bike. The beer we're going to be drinking is called a Samuel Smith Organic Raspberry. It's a beer that's mixed with raspberry, and I picked it because it's a product of England, just like the bike, and so it's British, and the color on the label, which I will show you, is super close to the color here, which is this beautiful deep purple, which, if you're curious, from Ariel, the paint color is called Deep Claret. Fancy. Alright, let's pop this open and see if it's any good. Test one. It's not a screw top. That's a good thing in my opinion. I'll show you a trick. If you're married, you don't have a opener, you can just open it with your wedding ring. Alright, I'm not really a fan of fruity beers, but we'll see if I like this one. It's delicious. It tastes like apple cider. That'll do. Ariel is a British manufacturer. They started making bicycles in the late 1800s, and in 1902 they started making cars and motorcycles. You've probably heard of Ariel before, but in reference to the Ariel Square 4, which is like a really remarkable motorcycle developed by Edward Turner. It's a 4-cylinder, and the cylinders are configured in the shape of a square, which is like phenomenal. So very, very unique bike there. They made that bike from, I think, 31 to 59. So, like most British motorcycle manufacturers, they went through their fair share of financial turmoil, and shortly after World War II, BSA bought Ariel. So this being a 58, this is part of that era where BSA owned them. So keeping that in mind, it shouldn't surprise you that this motor here is actually a BSA A10 motor, except they gave the timing cover a little bit of a facelift. Pretty smart. They also borrowed the forks from BSA. I mean, why not? The parts are already on the shelf, they work pretty well. Makes sense to me. So 650 twin, duplex frame, 7-inch hubs front and rear. It's so handsome, right? I mean, I love BSA, but this is way more handsome than the A10 in my opinion. It's got these big kind of valenced fenders, this beautiful nacelle, which not only encompasses the awesome Lucas headlight, but it also acts as a support for this very unique dash. Well, unique in the motorcycle world is pretty. That style is pretty common. I've seen it on multiple Ariels. So this bike, the parts on this bike are highly original. Like, very, very complete motorcycle. The paint is a little too good for me to be original paint. What I think it is I think it's paint from the last restoration, which I'm giving an educated guess was probably done in the 80s. That's the last time the bike was registered. And so I think it's an 80s restoration. I think the paint is from there. But I think it's always been a complete bike. The hardware's correct. All the pieces are correct. It's even got period pieces like these safety bars, which came from the factory like that. So, awesome trim piece here that covers up the single mount point, which was also an advertised feature when this bike came out. This is actually pretty good. I like it. I'm a fan. I'd say I'm a fan. The seat. I know. The seat's, well, it's a lot, and it's not correct. It would have had something a little more slender, and it would have come in either ivory or black. But let's just look past it. I mean, seats can be replaced. Or, you know, if you have a girlfriend who has been hesitant about riding with you, slap her on the back of this. I bet she'll have a great time. It's like riding a couch. Oh yeah, Amel monoblocks. Amel fan, monoblock fan too. I just love them. They're really, really cool. I cleaned this one out, which is all really this bike needed to run. So that was great. Checked everything, fresh fluids, de-rusted the tank a bit, cleaned the carb, fired right up. I actually rode this bike too, even though I probably shouldn't have. The tires on this, I love. They are Dunlop Universals. They're period correct. They're really old, but I like that. And if this is going to end up being a display piece, it's perfect. If someone's going to buy this with the intention of riding it, my thought is that they can just put whatever tires they want. Old guys like Avon Road Riders, and I don't. Anyway, back to talking about the originality of this bike. I just love to see them like this. Doherty controls throughout, Gran Turismo grips, correct Dunlop rims, and everything is a really handsome patina. It's not super crusty. The shiny bits are still pretty shiny. Could be shined up even more with some steel wool and some WD-40 or whatever your choice is. This air filter is really cool. It's made by Burgess. You can probably tell it's not currently hooked up, but I know where you can get the boot for it for 30 bucks or something. And so it's just got a velocity stack right now. It runs great. But if you did want to get that for this as a showpiece, or I don't know, maybe it runs okay with it, you could easily hook it up. Again, it's there. It's intact. It's a really neat piece. Oh, the side stand was kind of an amenity on this bike. It comes with a center stand and a side stand, but they called the side stand a Jiffy stand, which I thought was super cute. It's got a dry clutch, which was surprising to me. It's just like a little bit different. It also has a Berman gearbox, which is something that you wouldn't find on a BSA. Berman gearbox, 4-speed. It works great. The clutch is so soft that I thought it was not going to work, but it worked great. I mentioned I did take it on a little test ride. I rode about 5 miles into town to meet some vintage motorcycle friends for a quick dinner. So that was cool. I better drink this beer, because you're going to get sick of me jabbing. But hopefully you're enjoying it so far. What else? Doesn't stop for anything. Your left foot better weigh 100 pounds, and you better have the grip of a grizzly bear on this bike. So probably some tuning could definitely be done there. I mean, my job is to find these bikes. That's what I consider my job. I find them. Sometimes I pull them out of the corners of a barn, a garage, someone who hasn't used it in 30 years or even looked at it in 50 years. In this case, I actually got this bike from Iconic Motorbikes. I was down there to buy a Rickman. That's what the next episode's going to be on, by the way. And saw 2 Ariels here. I have this one and a Red Hunter. We're going to do an episode on that as well. And I loved it. I loved both of them. And so we worked out a deal, and I squeezed them in the van real tight, but they made it home safe and sound. So all's well that ends well. Okay, let's do this. You want to hear this thing? Let's fire it up. Okay. Give her a tickle. Now, this bike runs on a magneto. It's got a Lucas magneto. So while it does have a 6-volt battery on it, if it goes dead, the bike will still run, which I like. Okay. Let's give her some choke. This bike still has the choke intact. And if I remember right, she likes a lot of throttle. one. Odometer says 229 miles. After looking at this bike, I think that's probably true. Again, the paint is a little bit deceiving because I think that was done 30, 40 years ago. But if you look at the bits on the rest of the bike, I don't know. It's not that much use, and they look like all original parts. The motor, I don't think has ever been apart. That's going to wrap it up for the first episode of A Bike and a Beer. Stunning, highly original running aerial here. This bike is for sale. I'm going to post in the description the link to the listing for this bike. You can make it yours. I can help you with shipping. But just overall, the bike and the beer for that matter, both rare finds, both highly satisfying, and I really appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications if you like it and you want to see more, or you know, if you don't like it and you just feel bad for me, subscribe and then turn the notifications off. But we're gonna be back next week, or I'm gonna be back next week with a Rickman Montesa, and that's what we're doing. So yeah, leave a comment. What beer do you think should go with a Rickman Montesa? I'll see if I can find it. And yeah, bottoms up. See you next week.